I'm 72 years old, and people keep asking me the same thing. Sam, don't you want someone in your life? Aren't you lonely? What about companionship? So, eventually, I tried. 10 years ago, when I was 62, I started seeing someone. Everyone around me said it was a beautiful thing. They told me I deserved happiness, that it's never too late to fall in love. But there's something nobody really tells you. I felt lonelier with her than I ever did on my own. My wife, Helen, passed away when I was 61. A stroke. One moment she was outside working in the garden, and the next, she was gone. The first couple of years after that were hard. The house felt empty in a way I can't really explain. Saturdays were the worst. We used to spend them together, tending the yard, eating lunch on the patio, just sharing the quiet. Without her, those days felt like punishment. Over time, though, I found a rhythm. I started going to the hardware store just to talk to people, joined a model train club at the senior center, learned how to cook something other than spaghetti and eggs. I built a routine. It wasn't the life I imagined growing old into, but it was mine. Then my son started worrying. We were having dinner at his place when he said, "Dad, you should meet someone." I told him I was fine. He said, "Being alone isn't the same as being lonely." He didn't let it go. Neither did my friends. One afternoon at the Veterans Hall, Tom pulled me aside and said, "You're too young to give up, Sam." Too young. I was 62, and little by little, I started believing them. I began wondering if something was wrong with me, if maybe I was choosing the easier path instead of the right one. So I signed up for one of those dating websites. It took me a week just to figure out how to upload a photo, another week to write the profile. But when the messages started coming in, I felt something I hadn't felt in a long time. Wanted. That's how I met Karen. She was 63, a widow, kind smile. We exchanged messages for a few weeks, then talked on the phone. She laughed at my jokes, asked about my train collection, seemed genuinely interested. After 2 months, we met for lunch at a small diner near her home. Conversation came easily. She talked about her grandchildren, her book club, how she'd been alone for 4 years. Driving home that day, I remember thinking, maybe this could work. Maybe everyone was right. The first few months were good. We had dinner once or twice a week, went to afternoon movies because they were cheaper, took walks when the weather allowed. It felt normal, like maybe I had been wrong to think I was better off alone. Then the little things began. She would call in the morning just to check in, then again around lunchtime, then once more before bed. At first, I thought it was sweet. That's what couples do, right? But after a while, something shifted. If I didn't answer right away, she would call again, then send a message asking where I was, saying she was worried, asking why I hadn't picked up. One Thursday, I was at my train club. My phone kept buzzing. I let it go to voicemail. When I called her back an hour later, she was upset. She said she didn't know where I was. I reminded her that Thursdays were my club night, and suddenly, I felt this heaviness in my chest, a strange guilt, like I had done something wrong just by spending time with my friends. Then came the weekends. Every Saturday she wanted plans, visiting her daughter, going to the mall, trying some new restaurant everyone was talking about. If I said I wanted a quiet day at home, she'd look hurt. "Don't you want to see me?" I thought we were together now. So I started saying yes, even when I wanted to say no. Because how do you disappoint someone who just wants your time? There's something people don't talk about. When you're older and you have a partner, everyone assumes you should be grateful, as if you've won some kind of prize. So when you're tired, when you need space, when you want just one peaceful Saturday to yourself, you start feeling selfish for wanting it. About 6 months in, I noticed something unsettling. Every time her name appeared on my phone, my shoulders would tense, not in excitement, in preparation. One night she called around 10:30. I was already in bed, the news playing softly, drifting toward sleep. The phone rang. Part of me didn't want to answer. But I thought, what if something's wrong? Nothing was wrong. She just wanted to talk. About her day. About something her daughter said that bothered her. About an upcoming doctor's appointment she was nervous about. We talked for over an hour. When I finally hung up, it was past midnight. I sat there in the dark, exhausted. Not from the time, but from something deeper. Something I couldn't quite put into words. The next morning, Tom called. He asked if I wanted to go fishing that Saturday. The weather was supposed to be nice. I wanted to say yes. I love fishing with Tom. We barely talk. We just sit quietly, lines in the water. It's peaceful. But I already knew. If I went, Karen would want to come too. If Karen came along, it wouldn't really be fishing anymore. It would turn into conversation. Complaints about the bugs, the heat, how boring it must be to just sit there doing nothing. So I told Tom I couldn't go. That night, sitting alone in my house, I realized something important. My life no longer felt like it belonged to me. There was the money too. When I was 62, I was living on Social Security and a small pension. I was comfortable on my own, but with Karen, my spending slowly changed. Dinners out every week, $50, $60 at a time, gas money, birthday gifts for family members I had never even met. Then she wanted to take a trip to Branson, $300 for the hotel, another $100 for food. I didn't say no. How could I? But at night I lay awake doing the math in my head, watching my savings quietly shrink. And it wasn't only the money, it was my energy. At 62, my days had a rhythm. I woke up early, worked on my model trains, and by mid-afternoon I was tired. I needed rest. Karen didn't understand that. She wanted dinner out at 6, then a visit to her daughter's place. We wouldn't get home until 9 or 10, and I'd be completely exhausted. I'm just not as young as I used to be. She'd look at me like I was making excuses. She'd say things like, my friend's husband is 70 and he goes dancing twice a week. The breaking point came around 8 months in. One evening she said it plainly. She thought we should live together. I froze, beer halfway to my mouth. Later that night, I sat in my living room, the same house where Helen and I raised our children, and imagined sharing it again. Someone else deciding when I eat, when I sleep, when I drink my morning coffee. I felt panic. The following week I ended the relationship. The words came out simply, I can't do this anymore. She cried, asked what she had done wrong. The guilt was heavy, but I told her the truth. I wasn't ready to share my life with someone. I thought I was, but I wasn't. She was hurt. Then she was angry. For the first few weeks afterward, I felt awful. My son was disappointed. My friends didn't understand. But slowly, something changed. One morning I woke up and my first thought was, what do I want to do today? I started fishing with Tom again, returned to my train club, spent quiet evenings at home, and I wasn't lonely. I was peaceful. That's when I learned the difference between being alone and being lonely. With Karen, I was never alone, but I was lonely because I couldn't be myself. That's a special kind of loneliness. When someone is sitting right beside you, yet you've never felt more isolated. It's been 10 years since Karen. I haven't dated since, and I don't plan to. I finally understand something now. I didn't get a girlfriend because I was lonely. I did it because I was afraid. Afraid of what people would think if I stayed alone. That fear pushed me into a relationship that slowly drained me. Now I wake up every morning at 6. I make my coffee exactly the way I like it. I spend my mornings in the garage, or fishing, or doing absolutely nothing at all, and I don't have to explain myself to anyone. My son eventually stopped pushing. One day he said, "Dad, you seem happier now." He was right. I am happier. Not because I found the right person, but because I found peace. I'm not saying relationships are bad, but if you're 70, 75, or 80, and you're thinking about getting into one just because you're afraid of being alone, stop for a moment. Ask yourself what you're really afraid of. Because the truth is this: being alone doesn't mean you're lonely, and being in a relationship doesn't mean you're not. I have a friend named Ed. He's 79. He's been with his girlfriend for 6 years and he's miserable. He once told me he can't remember the last time he had a full day to himself. And then he said, "What am I supposed to do? Start over at 79? That isn't love. That's fear." At this age, peace isn't a luxury. It's survival. My body can't handle constant emotional pressure anymore, so I chose peace. And I don't apologize for it. Do I get lonely sometimes? Of course. Holidays can be difficult. But those moments pass, and they are nothing compared to the loneliness I felt when I was with someone. If you're in a relationship that's draining you, you're allowed to leave, even at 70, even at 80. And if you're alone and people keep telling you to find someone, you're allowed to say no. At 72, I finally learned this: your own company can be enough. You don't need someone else to prove your worth. You only need to be at peace with who you are. And once you find that peace, you'll realize it's the most valuable thing you have. So no, I don't have a girlfriend. And no, I'm not looking for one. Not because I'm bitter, but because I learned how to enjoy my own presence, and I'm not giving that up. You get one life, one chance to live these final years on your own terms. Don't spend them trying to make someone else happy while slowly disappearing yourself. Don't trade your peace for companionship that comes with chaos. I'm 72. I live alone, and I'm happier than I've been in years. That isn't sadness, that's wisdom.